Hey everybody, it's Andy's free guitar chart videos here for today, and I'm just following up on yesterday's topics, which really have been flourishing. Been putting a lot of time into the charts, and adequate time into playing, but I would say you can never play enough. And so let's go back one chart here to what we were talking about yesterday, and I noticed, I get the main topic across, and then I start to, look around to see how I can advance the topic a little bit. Well, that did happen, and it often happens with the chart. Once the charts are perfected, they're completely useful. They're completely, I was going to say completely useless, completely useful. For instance, this little part down here where we have the string circle and the cage circle, that didn't, it didn't just happen on the first time. Certainly the cage circle is easy, but people wouldn't think to make a cage circle, except that when you do, then you can go backwards easier, and then you can see that it's an ascending pentatonic scale in the key of C, C, D, E, G, A. Same thing with the string circle. It took me a while to make it, and then to also decide what direction it was going. So it goes in, I've got it set for clockwise here. It goes clockwise in fifths, with the augmented fifth between E and C, and if you go backwards, it's a diminished fourth between E and C, and then it goes in fourths. Another thing, tried and true with the charts that's kind of proved itself is the S2L and the S3L patterns. The important thing to remember about the S3L pattern is that you play the pattern as it's written here, unless it goes through the tuning warp. The tuning warp is a tuning third that's in between the top 2 and 3 strings. So if this is my guitar, your guitar, our guitar here, okay, I have a little extra notes because I down tune those strings, so that gives me this register down here. This is the E, whatever, E is. There's like your A440, and then whatever frequency E is, that's what the E is. And so this I consider the bottom string. The low E I consider the bottom string. The high E I consider the top string, and we're talking about 2 octaves there. Well, if you go between the third string from the top and the second string from the top, you've got a perfect third or a diminished fourth as you look at it. Because if you think about it, just string note by string note, you got a B, you got a G going to a B. Okay, the fourth of G is C, so it's a diminished fourth going to the B. Now, going in the other direction, go in fifths. The fifth of B is F sharp, but it's an augmented F sharp, so it goes back to G again. Fifth of G is D, fifth of D is A, fifth of A is back to E again. So it took a little while for me to figure out which direction I was going to have the string circle going in. Now the new stuff is that we've made a letter assignment for each of the string shapes, which also happens to be each of the shapes in the patterns S2L stack of 2 long and S3L stack of 3 long. Now, originally, stacker 3 long was stacker 3 short. That's where I got the S3S and the S2L from. So the L was long, and this was the short pattern. The long pattern was down here. This is just a repeat of the long pattern to show you how they stack up and stack up and stack up. Alright, if they kept stacking, they'd be going off to the left there, because every time you add an S3L, you're going over 1 on the 7. That 7 in the key of C would be B. Okay, 7 to root is like B to C in the key of C. So the important thing to remember is this stack of 3 short here, 2, 3, 5, 6, root 2, is important in pentatonic scales. It is a pentatonic scale. 2, 3, 5, 6, root 2. Okay, so that's the bottom of your D-shaped pentatonic scale. Okay, so if you want looking for a D shape, guess what? We don't have to start in the key of C. We could do it. Let's say if we're in the key of F, so the G note is going to be that 2 there. It would just be, okay, that's for the, and then we go to that S3L, S2L up there, 3 to 5, 6 to root, ignoring the 4 and the 7, with the pentatonic. And this note up here is our F, our D-shaped F. So that's a little background. Alright, so we're looking at the S2L and the S3L patterns, and the new thing to remember is that we have the string shape assignments for each of the pattern strings. So here's 5 strings, and there's 5 string shape assignments: C, G, D, A, and E, and these are the bottom strings of those diatonic scales. So when you play a C in the key of C, E becomes the 3rd, and you have 3, 4, 5. When you play a G in the key of C, in the key of G, let's say, E becomes the 6th, and you'd have 6, 7 root. When you play a D if you play a D, E would be in the open string area. E would become the 2nd, and you have a 2, 3, 4. When you play an A in the open string, key A, E becomes the 5, so you get 5 and 6 there. This is just where they came from, but it's going to make more sense. When you play an E in the key of E, E becomes the root. So when we have the capo here, or your fret nut, we can't reach that 7. It's in a no play zone. No play, no string. So we can just do the root 2 there. Okay. Okay, so that should be an E there. All right. So yeah, that sounded like it was leading up to leading up to an A there, you know, kind of like one of those walk-ups. So that wasn't, I was just trying to give you a little bit more of that E scale. And then C again on top. So that's where they come from, but guess what? You don't have to be in different keys. You can be all in one key, and let's just talk about the key of C. But let's face it, if you want to call this the key of C, you can just move that whole thing over as many half steps as you want and play in any key that you want. But let's look at it as the key